So, when you watch this, it will be Christmas Eve, and that long wait for Christmas Day is very nearly over. This year, waiting has a very special meaning for my family and me, as I'm expecting a baby on Christmas Day. So I've recorded this a few weeks early, and by the time you watch it, I may have had a new baby, or I may still be on that long wait when 9 months suddenly feels like forever. Plenty of people have made jokes about having my own nativity story for Christmas, but I hope this baby will be born in more comfortable surroundings than a stable. Unfortunately, I've not had a last-minute summons to travel to my place of birth on a donkey. But alongside waiting for a new baby to arrive, I've had other stories of waiting this year. Waiting to know what restrictions might be imposed or relaxed. Waiting to hear news of vulnerable family or friends and how they're managing. Waiting and hoping for COVID to be brought under control. Waiting to know if schools and nurseries are opening, if it will be possible to spend time with loved ones again soon. And I know many families will have had a similar story to tell when they look back on 2020. And of course, when I look further afield, some of my own story pales in comparison. I see others in this country and elsewhere struggling with illness, bereavement, poverty, homelessness, and increasing joblessness. And elsewhere in the world, wars continue to rage, injustices are done, refugees are forced to flee their homes, and many people continue to wait and hope for peace, for justice, and for an end to suffering. So in amongst all that, and at the end of a very strange year, what's the good news? Well, for me, I like to remember how God's love and hope, the hope that it brings, is a constant to hold on to, even in the midst of the hardest times. Looking back in history, including back into biblical times, life has always had challenges, often much harder than today's challenges. And yet throughout history, we know that there were people who were always trusting and holding on to God as their refuge in those stormy times, and rejoicing and thanking Him in the good times. And that brings me enormous encouragement. And I also see good news when I see people showing love for one another in an effort to make things better. Whether that's individuals supporting vulnerable neighbours with shopping and companionship this year, services to help homeless people, charities working around the world to respond to disasters, aid workers in refugee camps, acts of generosity towards others, or simply those with the courage to stick their head above the parapet and demand change and justice. These examples of loving thy neighbour are inspiring, and this year they made me reflect and ask the question, what else can I be doing to show God's love here on earth? And of course, at Christmas, we remember the great love that He showed in sending us His Son, Jesus, to be on earth. The best Christmas present ever. The Bible is full of inspiring stories about hope, trust and love, so it was hard to know what to include here. So I'll end with a quote from the letter that Paul wrote to the Romans, but which I think is just as relevant to me and to us all 2,000 years later. From Romans chapter 15, verse 13. May the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace as you trust in Him, so that you may overflow with hope by the power of the Holy Spirit. However you're spending Christmas, whether you're with others or in person or not, I wish you a very Merry Christmas, and I hope that you know God's love, hope, peace and joy this year.